Hello and welcome back to Wes's Corner. Let's journey through neurodivergence again as I take a potato chip and eat it. Wait, no, that's not right. Also, I promise not to write anyone's names down in a notebook after this video. Join me in this segment called AuDHD in Animation, a deep dive. Today, we're traveling to the land of anime, specifically Death Note, a very popular light novel and anime from the mid-2000s. To give more depth, it's a supernatural thriller series focusing on a cat and mouse between gifted student turned mass murderer Light Yagami and world famous Detective L. I know what you're thinking. What does Death Note have to do with what this channel's about? Good question. And I have an answer.
I bet he doesn't have an answer. This is probably something completely unrelated to his channel.
L is autistic.
Autistic? Has he lost his mind? Just because a fictional character displays strange quirks doesn't make them autistic. That's very narrow-minded.
But there are clues. And isn't it only right for a Death Note themed video to put together clues to arrive at the answer? I can't imagine a more perfect fit. But first, we need to build our case. And to do that, we need context. To summarize the plot, Light Yagami, the brightest student in Japan, as well as son of the police chief, discovers a notebook on the ground. This notebook is a death note. According to the rules, if one writes a name with the person's face in mind in that book, that person will die. If the writer adds a cause and manner of death, the death will occur in the exact way it was written. Otherwise, the victim dies of a heart attack. Light is, of course, skeptical, but he tries it out, and it works. So he begins killing criminals, as one does, eventually gaining a god complex, as he feels that he is now the hand of justice. The idea of absolute power corrupting absolutely is in full effect here, as the plot escalates. He earns the moniker Kira, or Killer. Oh yeah, he also has a Shinigami, aka Death God, named Ryuk, that only he can see. Ryuk is cool, and he's the one who dropped the Death Note to the human world because he was bored and wanted to have fun. He loves apples and chaos. Only people who touch the Death Note can see the Shinigami. So it's fun to see how that plays out. So get yourself in a crouch sitting position. Take off your socks and shoes. Grab your favorite sweets. Stack some blocks. And let's figure out why L is autistic. I do want to preface this by saying that this is not canon, as it is nowhere stated in any official material that L is autistic, nor are any official statements made regarding the diagnoses and or conditions, potential or diagnosed, of this character or any other character within the Death Note universe beyond what is already known to be canon. This is simply speculation with some evidence. Also, by watching this video, you presume to be familiar with the plots and characterization of the Death Note series, or you don't care that much, and you're just here to listen to me ramble about the conceived mental health of an anime character. In which case, thank you, and you're very patient. So, let's look at some of L's mannerisms. He sits in a crouching position almost like a gargoyle. He eats sweets and sugary foods almost exclusively. He holds objects in unusual ways, and he stims by stacking objects in various ways while doing his work. Let's not forget his poor social skills, which include making personal observations about others in public that could be considered rude, placing feet on furniture, and biting his nails. Also, look at his outfit. He wears the same clothes every day, a long-sleeved white shirt as well as blue jeans. He seems to prefer being barefoot. I mean, that's kind of a sensory nightmare to me, but maybe socks and shoes are to him. Who knows? I don't. But what really drives this home for me is the pattern recognition. L is a detective, which means he has to be intelligent. He needs to be able to find clues in ways that others can't. It's his job to solve mysteries, like some brooding human one-man Scooby Gang. So how does pattern recognition come into play with L's mystery solving? Let's examine, shall we? First, L needs to bait Kira, who has been killing criminals left and right in the name of justice. He does this with a decoy, an undocumented death row inmate named Lind L. Taylor, who L has posed as him during a live TV broadcast. The fake L denounces Kira as evil and immediately dies. L uses this to determine Kira's location, the Kanto region of Japan. He learns this based on the broadcast only airing in said region. He further determines that Kira is likely a student given that the deaths only happen after school hours. Because Kira and L are, of course, playing 4D chess, the time of the death changed to 1 hour intervals, throwing L off. The pattern changed. That throws him for a loop.
He's making good points, but it's almost as if he's refuting them as well. Why would he do that?
You might be thinking that I just countered my own point. But L is able to use this change in tactics to make a new discovery. He deduces that Kira must have access to police information, which of course he does, because Kira is the son of the police chief. But you didn't see that one coming, or you did because I said that at the beginning of the video. But dramatic irony for the win. L, not sure what to do, plays a new hand. He believes that the police may be prime suspects, so he sets up a task force of people to investigate those close to the FBI, who have also been investigating. Well, what happens here? All 12 FBI agents involved die by Kira's hand. Most of the task force quits out of fear, save for 5, including Kira's father, Soichiro Yagami. At this point, we have a pretty good base to go on as far as L's possible autism. As the show goes on, a second Kira emerges, and due to small differences in mannerisms and how the deaths occur, he is able to conclude that it is not the same Kira. He continues on, keeping both Kiras close to him while he does the investigation, even with a third Kira being revealed. Now, spoiler alert, L unfortunately does end up dying to Kira before the series concludes, and it's at that point that I believe the series goes downhill in quality, but that's neither here nor there. I do have a few stray observations, however. For one, I believe that Light, or Kira, has some traits that could be considered autistic as well, but I'm going to do a separate deep dive on that in another video. We're discussing L right now.
He can't just drop a bombshell like that and leave us hanging. That's not okay.
Anyway, stray observations. L has a strong sense of justice. He solves crimes. He does argue this in separate material, but while to him, he may not be doing what he does for justice, rather because he enjoys doing it, it gives him purpose. So while you can say that according to established canon, I am making an untrue statement, it can instead be seen as a hyper-focus of sorts, which is in and of itself an autistic trait. L was designed to be emotionless, different, and unattractive. Per canon, he is English living in Japan. This causes him to stand out. He's still human like most of the characters in the series, but he may not quite look like them. That might put others off. L belonged to an orphanage of gifted individuals, also home to Near and Mello, who do feature more prominently after L's death. So while, again, it is never stated that L is autistic in any capacity, the traits he shows during the series: hyperfocus, stimming, poor social skills, support from Watri, the person who raised him, his sense of justice, do at least reflect an autistic coding, intentional or not. The thing about this, though, is that no attention is really given to L's possible diagnosis. It is true that he is seen as quirky or eccentric, but he is also recognized as a professional. It's simply who he is. And if he does reside somewhere on the spectrum, most likely a level 1 or maybe level 2, it is probably one of the more authentic portrayals of autistic characteristics in media, at least for the time.
Okay, so he did make a pretty compelling case, but he still needs to convince us that light falls on the spectrum as well. I still can't get over that. I suppose I'll like this video and subscribe to the channel as well as voice my thoughts in the comments, but I know he can't possibly be right.
But that is all. Again, I do thank you for taking this deep dive with me. I'll see you next time on Wes's Corner. Goodbye.